Well, that last video did much better than I had expected. This video is intended to be about what I foresee potential solutions for the Freedom Factory down in Bradenton, Florida, and the current land situation that's going on with neighbors, and ultimately maybe help protect the future of the track. It's very easy to sit and armchair quarterback something. It's a lot harder to try to be a part of the solution. So I have created a site map that I feel might help not only preserve the Freedom Factory, but could also help the new neighborhood potentially succeed as well. No, I am not from Manatee County. I'm not even from Florida. I traveled out to Florida for this because as a YouTuber, I am very interested in making sure that the Freedom Factory doesn't go away. I think it's incredibly important for power sports, racing, the youth of America who are coming up, being inspired by this content. I think it is far more reaching than just a local county issue. And I think this is the most important time to make sure that people are being heard. So I would continue dropping those emails to the county board members, maybe even contacting the state to let them know how important this reach is outside of the county and the state alone. Now, you hear people say all the time, like, oh, don't die on that hill. But at some point, it may get to where you just need to retreat off that hill, re-strategize, and figure out how to win the war. That's what I'm here to do today, is kind of talk about where I see this maybe going. Should there be a scenario where it's time to maybe have bigger conversation about what it might look like to have a development around there, if that's ultimately where it is going to go. So I still very much firmly believe the best site plan is no site plan. Leave it agricultural as it currently is. It looks like it's probably not heading that way. So with that, I am going to pull up my site plan that I have put together of how I see this maybe working out to benefit everybody, not just the Freedom Factory and Bradenton Motorsports Park, but also the new community that is coming as well, potentially coming. So here's where you have the Freedom Factory. This is all of the surrounding land. Now, this is a new development that's currently being built now. I was actually just out there taking drone shots from the area, capturing what it might sound like for people to live over here. This is the area that I think is the closest that I would want to live. This is what is being proposed currently. This whole development around the Freedom Factory, where you have this blue delineator, they're currently working to get rezoned this west section of the property. East is to come later, including this little plot of land that would lock the Freedom Factory on 3 of the 4 sides. Up north of this, there is a river that is pretty much protected. You're not going to have any development to the north of it. This is where I think the homes should essentially fall in on that first plot of land. Now, phase 2, or East River Ranch as they're calling it, I don't think has even been submitted yet, but assuming that that gets put forth also, you would end up having homes over in this area. Now, as you can see, I left out this whole section up here by the Freedom Factory, which I think is absolutely necessary just because of the noise that you get from 1,000 feet away, which is very, very significant. So the representatives for the developer said that they would have some sort of wall and a berm, which I would assume would look something like this up on that north side, protecting the residents. I think they said a 30-foot berm and a 25-foot wall. Whatever the makeup of that is, the intention is to bring that up to prevent sound. I think you need to keep the homes even further away from that wall. So the next part of this conversation that I would like to see happen is, what do you do with that piece of property that could now benefit the new HOA and the Freedom Factory and the drag strip? This is where I think putting something in that space where it is compatible with the racetrack is the only thing that makes sense. Garage condos. So here I'm thinking having something where you have very, very large garage space with maybe some like 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom condos, smaller condos, where people from out of town would want to buy these up to come in for race weekends and have their vehicles there and have a place to stay. So think of like vacation home. The other part of this that I think would be compelling is some luxury garages. Now, luxury garages is something I had never even knew existed. They pretty much sell out all of these units. They go for a couple $100,000, a big garage where you can maybe fit 5-6 cars, some lifts. You might have some couches, things of that nature. Just a more of like a hangout area than a full-blown condo. If you owned a home in this HOA area or a neighboring neighborhood, you could have a place to park your toys. Now these are going to be condo owners and luxury garage owners who would be a part of the same HOA that you see surrounding here. So if there's ever any concerns about these residents going at the track trying to shut it down for hours of operation, whatever those very potential scenarios could be, you would also have members of the HOA, potentially board members of that HOA as well, who are members of the garage condos or owners of the garage condos or luxury garages, who would be very interested in protecting the track next door. How cool would it be if you had some sort of supercar to be able to take it over to the drag strip and run supercar drag nights? I think it would be awesome. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think of that scenario? So now, as you can see, I also built the wall up around here because you have this plot of land over to the east that is in no way, shape, or form do I think that could be residential. But I would find a compelling use for some sort of mixed-use plaza of sorts where you have a hotel followed by some restaurants. Now you've got some barriers to the sound, which it's still going to be audible to people who live in these surrounding areas. Once you get about 1.5 miles out, you're still going to hear it, but what I would call more tolerable. People in this area are going to have to be okay with that. Once you get down here, not going to be nearly as much of a problem. That's where I think you have a really good potential scenario to utilize that property. But again, I still think the best use case for the land is to leave it alone. It's agriculture. It's zoned that way, I believe. And I just don't see forcing the Freedom Factory to potentially deal with all of those neighbors that undoubtedly, without having some sort of racing component to that layout, are going to complain. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think. My channel will not become the Talk About Cleetus McFarland channel, furthest from my intention. I will be getting back to wrenching on my truck soon enough, my motorcycle, and just genuinely talking about things that I want to talk about. With that being said, guys, thank you very much for tuning in. If this is your first time tuning in, please hit that subscribe button down below. Remember, likes go a long way to help support the channel. I'll see you guys next time.